What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you my top 10 films of 2016. I realize we are nearing the end of January, but the Oscar nominations just came out and the show has not happened yet, and I actually just caught up with Silence, which was the final movie that I needed to see before I could do this list, so I finally decided to put it together. Before we get into the list, I do want to preface this by saying that these are my personal choices. This is not based on any empirical evidence from award shows, from other top 10 lists. This is just me. These are the movies that I enjoyed the most out of this year. It's not necessarily based on rating. It's not necessarily based on a Rotten Tomatoes score or anything. This is literally just what movies did I enjoy seeing in theaters the most this year. To start off, I do have a few honorable mentions that I want to throw out there that didn't quite make my list, though they were very close. The first one is Bleed for This, which I actually have a poster for right there. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was good. It was a really solid sports boxing film. Miles Teller gave a really good performance, so did Aaron Eckhart, and it was really enjoyable. It just didn't quite make its way to the list because the movie as a whole wasn't as strong as necessarily the performances were in it. In a similar boat to Bleed for This, another honorable mention is Fences. I think Denzel and I think Viola Davis give absolutely phenomenal performances in this movie, but I think the movie as a whole was not really as good as it could have been. I've never seen the play. I don't necessarily know. Maybe that's word for word the play and they didn't cut anything else out, but I don't think the movie was perfect, but I thought the performances were amazing. The next one is the fanboy in me for the honorable mention of Captain America Civil War. This is one of the most fun superhero movies we've ever gotten. It was every character, all of them combined, and even though it did have its flaws, I really enjoyed this movie. I have revisited it since it came out, and it still lives up. It's really solid. My final honorable mention goes to Pop Star Never Stop Never Stopping, the first ever film directed, written, and starring all of the members of The Lonely Island. This movie was hilarious. I honestly don't know why so many people didn't go see it. It was such a good movie, and also it is an absolute travesty that I'm So Humble or Bin Laden or literally any song from this film was not nominated for a Best Original Song Oscar. It's insane because this movie had a full soundtrack, like on Spotify, a whole soundtrack of songs written just for this film. It's crazy that there wasn't one of those that was chosen to get an Oscar nomination. Alright, with that, that is the end of my honorable mentions, and we can now get into the list. My number 10 film of the year is easily the most original film that I saw last year. That is Swiss Army Man, starring Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano. This is the film about the farting corpse that helps a man who is shipwrecked on an island try and find himself and find civilization so he does not die. This movie was hilarious, it was heartwarming, and it also was just so insanely weird that I enjoyed it so much more. The music is also amazing. This is another film similar to Popstar where I don't know how this didn't get a best score or best song choice because the music in this movie is so cool and so innovative, and really if you like movies that are a little off the wall, a little more quirky, I definitely recommend this. It was one of the funnest times I had in a movie theater this year. Number 9 goes to the best animated film that I have seen since the Lego Movie, which is saying a lot because I really love the Lego Movie. That is Zootopia. If you are a friend of mine in real life, I probably have told you to watch this film. I've probably forced you to watch this film. I loved Zootopia. I think it is amazing. I think that the real reason it lives up to the hype and it's so great and why it should win Best Animated Picture this year is because the morals that this movie teaches are universal. It's not just some like, be good to people. It's about like racism and treating people differently based on who they are, but things that they can't change about who they are. And I really love that about this film. It's so heartwarming. It's so well animated. All the animals look amazing. It's really clever and funny, and it builds this whole world of Zootopia where there's all these different animals living together and there's all these different sectors, and it's a really great film. And if you are an adult, or if you're a child, or if you're an adult with a child, show them Zootopia because it's a great movie. The number 8 film on this list is The Nice Guys, which starred Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe, was written and directed by Shane Black, and was one of the best original films we got this year. This isn't based on on anything. This whole story came right out of Shane Black's head. The setting of this movie in the 1970s, 1980s of LA is great. It's really, really funny, and the action is entertaining, and the dichotomy between Gosling and Crowe's characters is so great throughout this movie, because you have one that's like a strict professional and one that thinks of himself as a professional, but he doesn't really act like one. I definitely recommend checking this movie out if you like films that are sort of on the darker comedy side, but they also embrace that sort of silly slapstick humor at different times. My number 7 pick is 10 Cloverfield Lane. This goes way back to the beginning of 2016, and I have to say this is one of the best thrillers that has came out in the last few years. John Goodman should have gotten an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor for this film. He's amazing in it. This movie is terrifying. It tells the story of a woman who wakes up in a doomsday bunker and is told that the world has ended. And that's all I'm really going to say, because I don't want to spoil anything else. If you like thrillers, if you like suspense, watch this movie because it's great. Alright, we're starting to get to some of the more heavy hitters of the year. So at number 6, we have Hell or High Water, starring Chris Pine, Jeff Bridges, Ben Foster. This movie was written by Taylor Sheridan, who wrote Sicario from last year, which was my favorite movie of last year. This film is great. It's an old school, while at the same time being modern. It really is a great combination to become a modern Western. It reminded me of No Country for Old Men in some ways, which I love that film. If you like old school Texas Westerns, but you like them placed in the modern day, check this movie out. It has really, really solid performances all throughout it. Jeff Bridges is great, and Chris Pine is honestly really good. The scene that he has with his son in this movie is one of my favorite scenes from 2016. I really, really loved it, and I was surprised he didn't get more award nominations for that performance, because he really impressed me. Number 5 goes to Manchester by the Sea, the Casey Affleck dramatic, sad as hell movie of this year. He is the leader for Best Actor, and it is deserving. He is absolutely phenomenal in this film. The movie tells the story of a man whose brother passes away, and he is then forced to deal with the fact that he has to raise his nephew. It is absolutely heartbreaking, but it is also a beautiful, beautiful testament to the human will and what we will do for our families and the people that we love. This movie's amazing, although I don't recommend checking it out if you're trying to have a good day, but if you just want to see a truly great performance and a truly real film, watch Manchester by the Sea. Number 4 goes to the movie that I think should win Best Picture this year, and that is Moonlight. Moonlight tells the story of a young man named Chiron in the hood of Miami, Florida, who is gay, and he is forced to be raised in this society down there that doesn't necessarily approve of that lifestyle. We see him through 3 different times in his life, as a child, as a teenager, and as an adult. This movie is beautiful. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous film. Barry Jenkins did an amazing job with directing it and writing it. The story feels so real. It really pulls you in. You care about the characters in this film, and you enjoy learning about them and where the story takes them, how they grow as human beings, because it feels like a truly human story that I would recommend to anyone. If you can relate to what's happening in this film, check it out. But it's almost more important to you if you can't. I personally couldn't relate to much of this film, but it makes it that much more heart-wrenching and important, and really pulls you in and makes you care and see the strife. Because if you can't relate, you get to see through the eyes and understand what it's like. Alright. We're at the top 3, and if I'm being totally honest, these 3 movies bounced around in all 3 different positions tons of times. It took me a real long time to finally make the decision what goes where and how I was able to decide that. Number 3 of the movies in all of 2016 goes to Arrival. This was a tough decision for me. Denis Villeneuve's film Sicario last year was my favorite movie, and Arrival is absolutely gorgeous. In my eyes, he wins Best Director. I don't think he'll actually win at the awards. I'm sure Damien Chazelle will get it, but this movie is gorgeous, and it tells a story that is so amazing of extraterrestrials coming to Earth, and rather than it being some dumb shoot-'em-up alien film, he uses science, and it's about figuring out their language to understand why they're here, what they want. Amy Adams' performance is amazing. She should have gotten an Oscar nomination. It's kind of upsetting that she didn't, because she's really, really good in this film. If you enjoy the sci-fi genre at all, it doesn't matter if you're like, oh, I don't really like Blade Runner. I don't care. Watch this movie because it's amazing. It is so good. The directing's amazing. The writing's amazing. The acting's amazing. The story is so engrossing, and it pulls you in so quickly because it's almost a mystery before it's a thriller in a sci-fi movie, because nobody knows what's going on, including the audience, for so much of this film, and it makes it so interesting and so much more thought-provoking. When this movie ended, me and my friends literally just sat around and talked about it for like an hour. After putting Arrival at number 3, I knew 1 and 2 was going to be a real fight to the death between these two films, and I think I made the right decision. My number 2 film for all of 2016 is Damien Chazelle's La La Land, the film that is getting all of the love in the world right now, starring Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone. This movie tells the story of a jazz pianist and a struggling actress in nowadays LA, and they both have loves for these specific things and how their relationship grows. It's a wonderful musical. It has great songs, great dance numbers, and Damien Chazelle's cinematography and direction is absolutely phenomenal. I'm really confident that he's going to take the Oscar home. This movie is a gorgeous testament to the old school Hollywood musical, the old school jazz music. This movie is a true love letter to those two things. Damien Chazelle really put blood, sweat, and tears into this film. You can see it in every single frame that you watch on camera, and it is a beautiful film to see. And finally, my number 1 film of 2016 goes to Tom Ford's Nocturnal Animals. This movie starred Amy Adams, Jake Gyllenhaal, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and Michael Shannon. This movie got 1 Oscar nomination that went to Michael Shannon for Best Supporting Actor. Not to hate on Michael Shannon, but I think it should have gone to Aaron Taylor-Johnson. He won the Golden Globe, but I also think he's really good and deserved the nomination more. This film is absolutely terrifying. I was so scared in the movie theater watching this film. There is so much suspense built into so many scenes in this movie, and I was gripping my armrests. It was so much fun. It was so intense. The story is really intricate and hard to explain, but you see a story of a book played out while we also see the person reading the book in real life with their flashback memories. I'm not going to try and explain it too much. Watch this film. It is a testament to how a great director and great writing can build so much suspense in one scene that maybe shouldn't have as much suspense as it does, just by simple changes in shots and the small, minute details that actors make in their performances in these roles. This movie is amazing. I would compare one scene in this film to a similar scene in Sicario. The border scene in Sicario was my favorite scene of 2015. It was phenomenal, it was intense, there was so much build up to it. But there's a scene in Nocturnal Animals that I think has even more suspense and doesn't use as much time to build up to it. It is phenomenal, and it is my favorite scene of 2016. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed my top 10 list for 2016. I had a lot of fun in 2016. I think there were a lot of really solid movies that came out, and I enjoyed making more videos for you guys and continuing to grow this channel. And as always guys, my name is Eric. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what your favorite films of 2016 were, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.